Welcome to Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
It's the Then versus Now Challenge!
Welcome back to the Scrapyard, friends.
We're back with the next two races in the Then vs. Now Challenge.
We're racing classic cars against their modern-day counterparts.
And, in case you missed the rules, basically each race consists of 3 heats. You gotta win 2 out of 3 to continue. Team Then and Team Now are also competing for a team trophy. The tournament winner will face last year's champion for a chance at the Grand Championship, which has nothing to do with boats.
Don't start. In our last event, the 1961 Impala SS secured his spot in the quarterfinals.
Today we have races 2 and 3, so why don't you tell us who the racers are in today's event?
Race 2, it's the BMWs with the 2002 facing off against the M3. Race 3 is the 64 Stingray versus the 2012 Corvette Z06.
And now for the educational part of our program, where we tell you a little bit about each car. See, who said racing can't make you smarter?
For Team Then, it's the 1974 BMW 2002. Over its production run from January 1968 to June 1975, BMW sold almost 200,000 2002s. In 1974, they offered the 2002 Turbo. That's the same model in today's race. The 2002 Turbo was the first turbocharged production car from BMW. It has BMW's M10 single overhead cam inline-4 engine, which was fitted with a turbocharger and mechanical fuel injection, giving it 170 horsepower and 180 foot-pounds of torque. That's 40 horsepower more than the next most powerful iteration of the 2002.
And for Team Now, it's the 2011 BMW M3 GT2. It has quite the racing pedigree. In 2011, BMW achieved a 1-2 finish in the 12 Hours of Sebring. That same year, in the GT class of the American Le Mans Series, BMW team swept all the categories, winning the GT manufacturer, team, and driver championships. Then, in 2012, this car brought BMW back to the DTM touring car circuit after a 20-year hiatus. It won the Drivers' Championship and the Manufacturers' Championship. This could be the car to watch in the tournament. He could win it all. And now that that's out of the way, and we have our handy-dandy little scorecard ready, we'll get up to the broadcast booth and start some Scrapyard racing.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the starting gate, all set to get race 2 underway. The officials have given the all clear. This track is hot.
In lane 1, we have the 1974 BMW 2002, and in lane 2, we have the 2011 BMW M3 GT2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Big lead by the M3.
2002 crashes!
The M3 hits!
But he recovers!
Let's go to the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
You can see the M3 just puts all that power down immediately on the track.
The 2002 is struggling to keep up, and he decides to draft behind the M3.
But the 2002 loses it off the downhill.
The downhill transition here at the Scrapyard is much trickier than it appears.
That transition has caught many drivers by surprise.
Point being, that 2002 introduces himself to the barrier.
And that hit was so loud it startled the driver of the M3, causing him to slip, skid, and hit the opposite barrier.
But he saves it quick. At first I thought he hit the wall twice, but from our finish line cam, you can see him recover and come just millimeters from hitting the wall right before the finish line. Wow, what great driving.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Even though he had a slight hiccup at the end, the M3 GT2 easily puts the first win on the board. That 2002 has a lot of work to do if he hopes to catch up.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are about to start Heat 2. That 2002 needs to keep that car in control and has to pull out a win any way possible.
The GT2 was purposely built for racing. I thought being solo to the ground he'd bottom out coming off the downhill, but he accelerated straight through like he was driving on freshly paved tarmac. Well, the officials have cleared the track. Best of luck to both racers.
This time in lane 1 we have the M3 GT2 and in lane 2 we have the 2002.
3, 2, 1, go!
They go wide.
They crash.
Is it a tie?
It's too close to call. We'll have to wait for the official word.
I'm on with the judges right now. They're reviewing the tape. They said it's close, but I don't believe it. The 2002 won it. He's still in it.
We have to see that again on the replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wow, I can't wait to watch this replay.
They actually both get off the line at the same time.
But look, the 2002 actually starts to lose it before the end of the downhill. I think that's a Scrapyard first.
The 2002 actually gets both his rear tires in the air.
And that causes him to T-bone that GT2. I mean, that was a perfect 90-degree angle hit.
That GT2 is so solidly built to endure the 24 hours of Le Mans, it didn't even flinch. But look at that 2002. He just goes with it, shifts into reverse, and wins backwards. Yes, backwards.
That 2002 must have been listening at the start of the race when I said he needed to win any way possible. Boy, did he deliver.
Let's take a look at it from the finish line cam.
Some racers do win by a bumper, but it's usually the front one.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Well, in what can only be described as an amazing display of reverse drifting, the 2002 has managed to stay alive.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we are back at the gate for Heat 3.
After an amazing win, the BMW 2002 has tied it up.
The winner of this race will secure his spot in the quarterfinals. Ground officials have cleared the track. We are a go.
For the final race, we have the 2002 in lane 1 and the GT2 in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The GT2
The
takes the
2002
lead.
moves a bit again. The GT2 takes off like a rocket.
It's all over. The GT2 moves on.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
They get off the line clean,
But again, the 2002 loses it right around the transition.
and the GT2 is unfazed again.
After he sees the 2002 spin, he knows this race is his. He centers up on the track and just accelerates all the way across the line.
Do you realize that the 2002 spun every race, and the only way he crossed the finish line was in reverse?
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
With that huge win, the BMW GT2 just won the race, secured his spot in the quarterfinals, and scored the first point for Team Now, tying up the overall team scores. Up next is Race 3, the 64 Stingray versus the 2012 Corvette Z06.
The team standings are currently all tied up, so this race will put one team in the lead. For now.
Also important is the winner of this race will face the 1961 Impala SS in the first quarterfinal race.
Okay, enough bracket talk. Let's learn about these racers.
Representing Team Then, we have the 1964 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. Now, while not the legendary split-window 63, the 64 model is often overlooked but outshines the 63 in many ways. For example, it had 4-wheel independent suspension, and more importantly, the 327 V8 now had fuel injection and an extra 15 ponies, bringing the horsepower up to 375.
Representing Team Now, we have the 2012 Chevrolet Corvette Z06. This car has a massive 7-liter, 427 cubic inch engine producing 505 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, all matted to a 6-speed manual transmission. This car is light on the road with a 3,300 pound curb weight, but heavy on the wallet, costing almost $102,000 back in 2012. And now, let's get to some racing.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We're back at the gates, all ready to start race 3.
In lane 1, we have the 1964 Stingray, and in lane 2, we have the 2012 Z06.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Z06 takes the lead.
The Stingray corkscrews.
Did the Z06 try to block? Let's go to the replay.
Yes, but first, let's check that driver. Wow, Bob, what's it look like out there?
Nope.
Nope what?
Nope, as in 64 is not still 64 when it's upside down. It's not even 46.
But how's the driver doing?
I reckon he's fine. That Corvette's all fiberglass, so it's lighter than a basket of feathers. I'm sure it don't weigh much of nothing sitting on his head. Probably barely even a headache. You want to talk headache?
No, we don't.
One time I got kicked in the melon while trying to shoe a filly on my uncle's ranch. Talk about smart. Heck, then another time, there was a time when I got hit in the head.
Thank you, Wild Bob.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
We can see the Z06 immediately goes wide once that gate opens up.
Yeah, almost like he knew the Stingray was gonna flip. Sabotage! Sabotage!
Now, before we start pointing fingers, I think it's just smart driving. He knows that by the numbers he has that Stingray beat in every way that matters. So I think he just wanted to stay as far away as possible to avoid any collisions.
Well, I guess it paid off because the Stingray literally gets airborne at the transition from the downhill. His car is perpendicular to the track while it's still in the air.
And that Z06 drops the hammer and accelerates all the way across the line.
And this is what I caught a glimpse of during the race. Right here, you could see the Z06 still tries to go for the block, even after the Stingray flipped.
It's actually more smart driving. You said so yourself during the reading of the rules. Drivers win by crossing the line any way possible. So the Stingray could have won while sliding on his roof.
I guess you're right, but I'm still not ruling out sabotage.
I'd expect nothing less from you.
Hey!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Stingray ended the heat with a big wreck, and the Z06 ended with a big win. Let's see if he can hold on to that lead in the next heat.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wasting no time, the officials have given us a thumbs up for Heat 2. Remember fans, the Stingray needs to win this if he wants to stay in it.
A quick lane change has the Z06 in lane 1 and the Stingray in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Stingray's in the lead.
He bounces.
Z06 aggressively blocks.
The Stingray pushes him across the line.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Here we see the Stingray just barely edges out the Z06 off the line.
And the Stingray barely avoids a repeat of his Heat 1 wreck at the transition of the downhill.
And the Z06 capitalizes on it and starts blocking feverishly.
But at the end, the Stingray isn't having any more of it and tries to use the pit maneuver on the Z06.
But instead of stopping him, he pushes the Z06 across the line.
It was a nice move, but unfortunately, it was too little, too late.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
And after that heat, the Z06 has the wins he needs to continue on to the quarterfinals.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Wait, why are we even having a Heat 3? Doesn't the Z06 have the points he needs to continue?
Well, 1, the rules say each race consists of 3 heats. And 2, this either gives the Stingray a chance to save a little face or it gives the Z06 a massive amount of bragging rights. Don't forget, this is the Scrapyard.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
Yeah, then let's do this!
Since the Z06 won, he chose lane 1, leaving the Stingray in lane 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Z06 blocks hard!
The Stingray sends the Z06 into the wall.
The Z06 barely crosses the line.
Let's check our final replay.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
The Z06 pulls out hard to immediately get in front and go for the block.
Yeah, he looks like he's going for more than bragging rights. He's going to bring some punishment.
But the Stingray reverses it and uses the pit maneuver on the Z06 and sends the Z06 crashing nearly head-on into the barrier.
And does the Stingray purposely skid to a stop so he could enjoy the show?
The Z06 was still able to limp across the line.
Yeah, sure, the Z06 won the heat and the race. But the Stingray sent him into the wall and then just kicked back to watch it all happen. That's not bringing the punishment, that's bringing embarrassment.
An interesting turn of events. Who knows, maybe we just witnessed the birth of our next grudge match event.
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.
No need to really see the scorecard, but JP and the graphics department worked really hard on it, so we might as well show it. Well, with that win, the 2012 Z06 has put Team Now in the lead at 2-1.
And we know the Z06 will face the 1961 Impala SS in the first quarterfinal race.
But before we get to the quarterfinals, we need to get through round 1. And our next event has 3 big races. Why don't you tell us who is facing who?
Race 4 is the 1972 Skyline versus the 2017 GTR. Race 5 is the 67 Mustang GT versus the 2020 Mustang Shelby GT500. Race 6 is the 71 Datsun 510 versus the 2005 Nissan 350Z.
Thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so, give us a like, and please subscribe to the Scrapyard so you never miss a race.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook for even more Scrapyard Diecast racing action. So please join us next time for the next installment of
The Then versus Now Challenge!
Scrapyard Diecast Racing.